I actually think the Roman Catholic Church and the Pope Francis, is over this entire thing. And I think he's manipulating, controlling the entire narrative. I think he's got Anthony Fauci in his pocket. I think he's got Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Francis Collins. I think all of them are being controlled by a division of the Roman Catholic Church called the Order of the Jesuits, whose sole mission for the last 200 years I'm aware of, since 1857, they have been plotting to destroy the Constitution of the United States as the one last stronghold of a country that preserves and protects religious freedoms. And I think they've been plotting this whole time in many ways, either through wars, now through famine, now through pandemics of a virus. I think it has been a complete attempt of them to destroy the Constitution of the United States from within, to destroy the borders, to reduce, which is what they've said. We also have to reduce militaries of all countries, demolish all borders of countries so we can create a one world religion with the Pope as the one world leader.
When I first realized the true magnitude of what the Pope's audience hall design reveals, I was shocked. Despite 10 years of research into the elite, occult, Illuminati, consciousness, and more, this stuck out as something I just had to write about. Have you heard of the Pope's audience hall, also known as the Pope the Sixth Audience Hall, or the Hall of the Pontifical Audiences? It lies partially in Vatican City and partially in Rome, Italy. Named after Pope Paul VI and built in 1971 by Italian architect Pier Luigi Nervi, it seats 6,300 and contains a bronze statue called La Resurrezione, designed by Pericle Fazzini within. This all sounds pretty straightforward so far, but let's dive into what makes this building so strange. We'll start with the less weird and get progressively weirder as we go. The building was designed with reinforced concrete by well-known architect Pier Luigi Nervi. Nervi is known for simple yet practical designs that are strong and made to last. The simple curvature of the building might seem unassuming from the outside, but this is part one of what we will begin to explore about this building, and I promise you, by the time we get to the end, you will see what I'm getting at. Have a look at the image below and compare its shape to the image of a snake beside it. Note the overall shape: wide back, narrow, rounded front, eyes in the middle, nostril at the front, and curved top. As you can already see in the image above, there are two windows on either side of the building that resemble eyes. They are made of stained glass and sit about halfway through the building's length on either side. In the center of the eye shape, you begin to see a slit that could resemble a reptile eye. If you're not convinced yet, which is understandable, keep listening. Maybe looking at one window on its own isn't the most clear, so let's have a look at both of them together now. All of a sudden, we begin to see things taking shape here. Two reptilian eyes staring at you as you observe the stage. Have a look again at the image above. What do you notice down the center? There stands what looks to be a statue in the middle, and then on either side, two sharp, pointed fangs. The building's roof and sides also resemble scales. Here are two more images to give you a sense of the scales. Now let's pull it together a bit more so we can really see what we're looking at. In the image below, really pay attention to the whole building and stage layout next to the image of a snake. The eyes, the shape, the scales, the fangs, the look and feel of the reptile, it's all there. In the middle of the stage sits a statue of Christ rising from an atomic apocalypse. It was designed by Pericle Fazzini and put in place by 1977. Have a look at it below. Do you notice anything about Jesus' head? It's difficult to see from the front, but when you view the statue from the sides, where patrons would sit, it becomes strikingly clear from both sides that the head of Jesus is meant to look like that of a snake. Think about it for a moment. If just one side of the statue gave the impression of a snake's head, we could brush this off as coincidence. But when it looks this way from all angles, and the entire building resembles a snake as well, it becomes much more difficult to ignore. One must begin to realize that this was purposefully designed to appear this way. The thought and planning that went into this would have to have been immense. The reality is, there's an obvious reason for this imagery. You may be asking what that reason is. Why was this building built in such a way that the Pope appears to be speaking from the mouth of a reptile? If you aren't asking that question, you're simply turning a blind eye. It's not that the evidence isn't present, it's that you're choosing not to see it. There are 7 separate pieces that comprise the snake or reptile symbol. If it were 1 or 2, I would understand your skepticism, even 3. But when 7 pieces come together so beautifully, so perfectly, you know beyond any shadow of a doubt that it was intentional. Regardless, I know what I'm saying may be difficult to accept, but all tough truths go through phases. Laughter and ridicule, partial acceptance, and then, eventually, they appear self-evident to the population. I believe we're getting closer to the 3rd stage when it comes to understanding who truly runs and has influence over our world, which is why this snake symbolism exists here.
My interest in this phenomenon was first piqued during the 1970s through the 1990s when Monsignor Corrado Balducci, an exorcist, a theologian, and a member of the Vatican Curia, the governing body at Rome, and, by the way, a guy who was a personal friend of the Pope's, started appearing on Italian national television to state that ETs were not only possible, but were already interacting with Earth, and that the Vatican's leaders were aware of it. Furthermore, speaking as an official demonologist, he actually said that the extraterrestrial encounters are real, that they are not demonic, he said. They are not due to psychological impairment or hallucinations, that they are not a case of entity attachment, but that those encounters, he said, deserve to be studied carefully. And then he went on to disclose how the Vatican itself has been closely following this phenomenon and quietly compiling material evidence, he said, from Vatican embassies around the world on the extraterrestrials and their mission. Whatever you make of his claims, Balducci was a member of a special group of consultants to the Vatican. He was a public spokesperson for Rome on the matter of extraterrestrial life as well as UFOs and abduction phenomenon, and his assertions have never been contradicted by the Holy Roman Catholic Church.
Tom Horn and I went to Mount Graham to get to the bottom of what the Jesuits are doing up there. This is the question that everyone's asking.
Hi, this is Tom Horn. I'm here with my good friend Chris Putnam. We are at the base of Mount Graham in southeastern Arizona. We're going to be traveling from 3,000 feet up to 10,500 feet above sea level, through twists and turns, up a very dangerous looking road with no guardrails on it, and we are on our way to the VAT Observatory, the Vatican's Astronomical Technology Telescope, where we're going to be meeting with a Jesuit. And we're going to be talking to him about the Vatican's interest in the study of deep space, especially as it involves astrobiology. What else are we doing?
Well, I think that we're going to have a meeting with an engineer today who's going to explain to us some of the details of how the Large Binocular Telescope works, and particularly the details of the instrument they call Lucifer.
Yeah, it's actually called Lucifer.
It's called Lucifer, and it's used as an infrared gathering device. And I think it's very helpful when you're looking into deep space, trying to find Earth-like planets. The Lucifer device has generated a lot of controversy from using a name that is classically associated with Satan. It's actually an infrared camera. There are some sorts of things that move around in the sky that can only be seen in the infrared spectrum. Perhaps they are looking for things that can't be seen in the normal light spectrum.
We were intrigued with Mount Graham because Arizona is quite famous for UFO activity phenomenon, witnessed by thousands of people across Nevada and Arizona, as well as the Mexican state of Sonora. The Phoenix Lights UFO, as an example, was the United States' actual largest mass sighting, not just because of the sheer number of witnesses, but because of the quality of their testimony. For instance, then acting Governor Fife Symington even testified in writing, quote, between 8 and 8:30 on the evening of March 13, 1997, during my second term as governor of Arizona, I witnessed something that defied logic and challenged my reality. A massive, delta-shaped craft silently navigating over the Squaw Peak in the Phoenix Mountain Preserve. A solid structure. Rather than an apparition, it was dramatically large, with a distinctive leading edge embedded with lights as it traveled the Arizona skies. I still don't know what it was. As a pilot and as a former Air Force officer, I can say with certainty that this craft did not resemble any man-made object I had ever seen. Documented activity like that suggests something inherently strange about the area, begging the question, does Arizona host a dimensional portal? A wormhole? While extra-dimensionality is a possibility, needless to say, the Arizona area provides kind of a uniquely hospitable climate for the well-yoked marriage between Jesuits and extraterrestrials.
I think because of the Catholic system, because you have the mixture politically, syncretism, but their approach to reality is not just biblical alone. For them just to come out and say, we embrace this, they're there, they're real. I say they're real. I say they're really, really there. There's no question about that. The issue is what they are. When I don't see them in any way even suggest, hey, these could be really fallen ones, demonic, radically evil, bringing deception, when I don't see that in the discussion on their end, it's either they themselves are highly deceived, or is there internally acceptance? Have they engaged? Have they heard? Now we don't have just contactees. We have all over the world contactors that are looking to engage, looking, wanting. For anyone, even a Catholic priest or a Catholic astronomer, to say these are morally superior beings, we have to back up and ask the question, how would you know that? Obviously, they're revealing themselves as superior. They can outwit humanity, they can kidnap humanity, they can do sexual things to humanity. But tell us explicitly what you are, who you are, what you're made out of. And they're not giving us that.